I pulled some information. I pulled the book of Enoch. Now, I know it wasn't what we had really talking about this week, but I thought it'd be interesting just to pull it to read it. Most people have never seen it. Where do you want to go with Enoch?
He was trusted by not only the higher up gods, he was trusted by the Agigi, the Watchers.
Now, who is Enoch?
Enoch is Noah's grandfather.
So that makes him pretty old.
Yeah, you got to understand, they lived 900 years back then, okay? I mean, Methuselah lived in 964 years.
Now, I've looked through it, and I got to tell you, it doesn't really read like the Bible.
It's not in the Bible because the Catholic Church makes sure of that. It's called an apocryphal book that is, the Catholic Church labeled it fiction. So it did not make the canon, the actual Bible canon.
Now, why wouldn't it be in the King James Bible? Did they just mirror off the Catholic Church, or?
They definitely mirrored off the Catholic. The Catholic Bible actually has a couple more books than the actual King James. Okay, but that was so unreal and so. I mean, they couldn't accept that. It was just so. I mean, Enoch was. It was the number one book up until the Bible was actually written or put into form, and the only Bible that has the book of Enoch in it is the Ethiopian Bible.
Now, I was looking through earlier, and I'm looking through it again. It appears they named some angels, Michael, Gabriel.
Okay,
or
Michael,
they called them the Watchers in this.
No, they're not. Michael and Gabriel are not the Watchers. Michael his real name is Michael. Okay, his real name is Ninurta. He is Enlil's son. He is Yahweh's son. He's the warrior. He is the one that he handled business. I mean he was the word. He's the actual one.
Say word.
He's the one that actually cast Lucifer out of heaven. He's the one. His army actually beat Lucifer's army. Okay. Now I know I keep talking about Lucifer because he does have a comeback. Because when you're in the royal family, no matter what you do, you can make up for it.
Now, I'm looking here at chapter 6. It says that it came to pass when children of men had multiplied in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters.
Right.
And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them.
Right, and that's when they came down. They came down and made them their wives and started mating with them. And their offspring were giants up to 35 feet tall.
So they just said pussies when they came.
Well, I mean, in the end, it's...
No, you got to figure, they're the ones, the Agigi, the Watchers, they're the ones watching shit. That means they're in spaceships watching us.
Why would they give a fuck about us?
Because they made us.
That's condescending.
So that's where it moves into chapter...
How's that condescending?
Chapter
Do you even know what
7.
condescending is?
Yeah.
They took on wives. Wouldn't a being like that not be allowed to...
You're right, they weren't allowed to. That's why they all had to sign a pact. They all had to say, hey, listen, this is a great sin. And I don't, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this, if we're going to get in trouble, we're all going to get in trouble.
Well, it says the women became pregnant and they bare great giants, whose height was 3,000 ells. Do you know what an ell is?
This is an L. This is from your fist to your elbow.
Oh.
It's an elf.
Good God, that is huge.
Yeah. Imagine 35 of them.
3,000, wasn't it?
They got to 35.
Yeah, 3,000 ells. That's 6,000 feet.
All those were titans.
Okay, well, it says, giants, and they consumed all the acquisitions of men. So basically, they took the fuck over.
Well, and men couldn't sustain them anymore, so they turned on man and started, that was their food source, man, because...
Yeah, it does say that the giants turned against them and started devouring mankind.
Right.
I guess that's where we get the myths and stuff that we've had, the pee-pie-fo-pum, the giants grinding bones.
There is
and
a lot of truth in myth. Okay, take over for a minute while I go Peely.
Myths weren't born from facts. Myths were just myths.
Well, how can we say this isn't a fact? Neither one of us was alive back then.
How can you say that's not just the same bullshit as what other people would make up?
Well, I can't say that. That's why we're sitting down trying to figure it out.
It'd be cool if they came back today. The giants tried to eat us.
But we have found bones in archaeological digs of very big people. Now, I'm not saying giants. I've seen what's been called deep fakes on the internet of human skulls the size of cars. People call them deep fakes, but
shit.
You know, when we look in, I think Syria, some of the older countries out there, we have doorways that's 300-400 foot high with doors, and these are temples that's built in the side of mountains, and you're going, well, how in the hell did they close that door? Normal men and women aren't going to build something like that, are they?
I don't know. People do stupid shit.
Yeah.
I mean, build a door.
You know, I think the Transformers had one of those temples on it, one of the new movies, where like I say, the entrances are just huge.
You know what? The Transformers are actually mirroring. There's a lot of truth in Transformers movies. I know you were gonna laugh, but the spark is the Allspark. That is our souls.
So the giants started eating men. Now, here in chapter 8, I'm looking at it, and it says Azazel. I guess
Azazel and Ramiel, they were the two main.
They got a whole list of them here.
Oh, I know them all.
Kokobal, Tamalel, Ramel, Daniel.
Samuel and Azazel.
There's a Samlazaz. I can't pronounce any of that, but apparently Azazel taught them how to make swords and knives. Taught men.
Right, and he did, and some of them taught women how to put makeup on, and how to make themselves prettier.
I probably treated them
now,
like dolls.
The story of, isn't it David who slew the giant?
Yeah, he slew Goliath
with a slingshot. I take it that's pulling some from this.
Well, a lot of that right there is. Here's what I have to go back to the beginning. King Saul, okay, he was the actual on record first king, because once men started multiplying, they wanted, the gods just weren't there. They got the shit they got to do. They're off planet. They wanted somebody there to rule them, to give them, and Saul was great. He was, so he got anointed by Samuel, right? You can read this. It's in the Bible.
This book is not in the Bible. But you're talking about other things
that was in the Bible. They took it out.
Have you ever read the book of Enoch?
You never will.
I'd read it. I don't like reading Bible. It's boring.
Now, I have a question. If you gave birth to a giant...
Well, they're not born a giant. They turn into giants.
Okay, because I'm about to say,
Yeah, their uterus would fucking blow up.
They're going to have to add a lot of extra stitches in there.
Yeah, they're not born giants. They turn into giants because they have a gland that...
So I think what I'm reading here in chapter 9 is where they're basically deciding that humankind should be eradicated.
Well, that's because the Yahweh God, Enlil...
Because they have defiled themselves and revealed to them all kinds of sins, and the women were born giants.
It just got so loud, too. And Enlil, the Hebrew God Yahweh, he knew that when Nibiru was coming back around, okay, after their 3,600 years cycle, they were coming around, they were going to melt the ice caps because we were just getting out of the ice age, okay? And the ice caps were going to melt, and it was going to cause a total, like a 400-foot tidal wave all over the world. It was going to wipe everything out, okay? They already knew this. You got to understand, their technology is millions of years ahead of us today.
Well,
so Yahweh's like, listen, let's just eradicate them. Let's just start over, let them die. So he wasn't, even though the Bible says, he pulled Noah aside and said, that wasn't him. He wanted us all dead.
That's where I'm at in chapter 10. It says, Uriel to the son of Lamech and said to him, go to Noah and tell him in my name, hide thyself, and reveal to him that the end is approaching. So, who is Uriel and Lamech? Okay.
Enki. Enki is the one, because Enki didn't want his creation to totally
It says that the whole earth will be destroyed, and a deluge is about to come upon the whole earth.
Right, because the ice caps totally melted, and it was just going to cause a total tidal wave all over the world.
All right, now, so this is starting into the story of Noah, but it says here he was instructed to
All right.
bind Azazel's hand and foot and cast him into the darkness. So I'm assuming that.
All right, this is already over. All right, the flood is. All right, Azazel had already been binded. Okay, he's binded for 1,000 years, so he can't do shit. Him and Samuel and the other 200, they're binded. They can't. They're binded in chains for 1,000 years. They can't do nothing. Okay. All right, we're beyond that now. Okay, the flood is happening. Okay, Yahweh God.
Wait, who did they just bind up and torture?
Azazel.
They didn't
Who
torture
is
anybody.
Azazel? They tortured the fuck out of him. You read all that they did. They bound him up, covered his eyes so he couldn't see, placed jagged rocks and shit around him.
That's the price he had to pay
They put
for
him in
it.
a hole in the desert.
Forever.
Why
Why did they do that? Who is that person?
Well, he was one of the main watcher angels that were supposed to keep an eye on us.
Yeah, and
that
somewhere
started
I think
to fuck
around
all of our
chapter
women.
chapter 3, they said, okay, let's go screw some fine white women or something. Which I think at that point our society believes that all people were of color. Whites did not exist. We're apparently a mutation according to modern science. But we don't want to get into that because it gets ridiculous in political scope.
We're a mutation. White people.
Yes.
Probably
We're not
a
even
good
allowed
mutation.
in. We're not even allowed into heaven.
make
There's
up-
only 144,000 of the Jewish people allowed up there.
We sure do make up a lot of the planet.
Okay, now here's interesting. Gabriel. Gabriel's an angel.
He's the trumpet.
And to Gabriel said, the Lord, and to Gabriel said the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates, and against the children of fornication. So I'm saying, I'm figuring everybody's got to die, other than Noah and his seed.
All right. Number one, you know what fornication is? It's sex without being married.
That's the best.
Well, that's fornication. Okay? It's unmarried sex.
Californication.
Well, that's California luring you into.
Destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers from amongst men.
And that's the giants.
Fuck them kids. Yeah.
Boy, you're brutal.
No, they're brutal. He says kill all the bastards. And
Well, that's
everything else.
because the giants, all right? I mean,
Small dick giants that fuck human women.
can you imagine what a giant would do to a fucking normal chick?
It'd kill her.
It'd
And then
rip her
they're just
apart.
acting like it's not going to do
So they
anything.
were supposed to live 500 years, and the Lord said unto Michael, go bind Simjaza and his associates.
That's what's
So
trying
God's
to
being real prick.
Simjaza is the number one watcher that started this shit. Azael was just one of his.
Bind them for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth
Yeah, it's 1,000 years.
until the day of their judgment. Well, has the day of their judgment come, or
Oh yeah, they're back.
The
They're
day
done.
of their judgment and their
Yeah, they're already-
consummation of their
They're who's running the country now. Okay, Marduk, all of them. You know what? I'm actually gonna smoke some of this.
and then shall the whole earth be tilled in righteousness, and shall be planted with trees and be full of blessings.
They did do that. They seeded the planet. I mean, just because they fucked the hot chicks doesn't mean they didn't do some good. They
Well,
did.
I mean, if you're in a spaceship with a bunch of men or whatever they call themselves, you look down.
And all of a sudden, the women are fucking smoking hot.
Yeah,
You're like, God damn, I want some
They
of that.
didn't have women?
They had women, but they weren't women that the Gigi were not
They got-
privy to
Maybe
the
it was
gods. They were the watchers. They were the original workers that mined the gold. Okay, they were the slaves. Okay, they weren't important enough to. So
Fuck.
they.
I'm talking about fucking.
So now I'm beginning to assume that Enoch is just watching all this happen, and he wrote.
Well,
the book.
the watchers trusted him.
Okay.
And they wanted him to please, they're like, go to Yahweh and say, hey, listen, man, tell him. And he did. And Yahweh respected, and Enoch was just a guy like me and you. They respected that the fact that all these 200 fallen angels trusted him to plead their case. so then Yahweh God just took him, and now he's called Metatron.
That's awful close to Megatron.
I know, right?
So Enoch in chapter 13 tells Azazel that he shall have no peace. A severe sentence has gone forth against thee to put thee in bonds.
Bind it up in chains.
So Enoch really was high up in these people.
Well, no, he was just trusted. They trusted him.
Oh, well, he's delivering the message, obviously.
Yes, yeah, they trusted him to deliver the message, okay? And plead their case. And Enoch actually did do that. And then the Yahweh God's like, oh, I like this guy. Fuck, they all like him. And, he's just being a righteous man. You don't know. And so God took him right then. He became Metatron.
Okay, now here it names that Lebanon, this is all going on somewhere between Lebanon and Sinister. I've never heard of Sinister. We all know where Lebanon is. There was just a big-ass explosion there not long ago.
Did I get that beer on your throat?
Mm.
I gotta go check.
There's some in there.
Some in where? Your throat?
Yeah.
Now say that again.
Well, the angels, when they came down and fucked the women, I mean, they had to be other women angels. They could have been fucking human. Women can't be shit compared to an angel. So it's kind of like just thinking, I don't know. I lost track of where I was going.
Well, we know how women are. I mean, Earth women they can be
Tempting?
mischievous.
Yeah, but you're a god. You're an angel.
We live in a society that actually has a sexual market value placed on women, and they place that value on themselves. And you can tell the ones that believe they have a higher value by the way they dress and by the way they act. And then you can tell the ones that have a lower value because they just go ahead and show it off.
You want one down here?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
And they had giants. Babies, women had little Shaquille O'Neals that just kept right on growing. Maybe Andre the Giant would be a giant.
He's 800 the Giant.
You don't think he'd be giant size? No, because they were eating human men.
Andre the Giant had a disease, a disformity that his bones
Your
grew.
body keeps growing.
Huh?
Your body keeps.
Yeah, he
continues
couldn't
to grow.
stop.
Well,
You can
here's
have
something.
surgery to stop it now.
I think this is Enoch speaking. And the vision was shown to me. Thus, behold, in the vision, clouds invited me, and a mist summoned me. And the course of the stars and the lightning sped. That's kind of like the burning bush.
How about a spaceship?
Sounds like it's burning some bush.
Yeah, and the
how about
lightning
a spaceship?
sped and hastened me. And the winds in, and the vision caused me to fly and lifted me upwards and bore me into heaven.
Yeah, how about a spaceship doing that?
And I went in till I drew nigh to a wall which is built of crystals, surrounded by tongues of fire, and it began to afflict.
Well, you got to understand his interpretation now. He only can interpret what he's ever dealt with, what he can relate to. He can't relate to.
Well, in the energy field, I guess you could figure is a wall of crystals.
You can take that any way you want, but all right, even in the book of, they've never seen. Well, they did back then, but when you got something that's flying up in the air and you got wheels around it and there's fire coming out.
And I went.
The only vehicle you have on the planet is a chariot.
Well, he says.
You're going to call that chariot
I went
fire.
into the tongues of fire and drew nigh to a large house which was built of crystals, and the walls of the house were like a tessellated floor of crystals.
He got taken to Anu's palace. Okay, Anu is the father of Enlil and Enki, Yahweh and Lucifer. He is the father.
So this is this guy's crib?
Yeah, it's...
Yeah, so I entered into that house. It was hot as fire and cold as ice at the same time.
Sounds like Superman's crib.
Well, where do you think that came from?
What? I didn't know that.
It's all based on this shit. Just like Thor and Loki. That's Lucifer and...
like Tom and Jerry.
Well, it's interesting here that he refers to a portal now. The portal stood open before me.
It's a spaceport.
And it was built of flames of fire.
Yeah.
Flames of fire. What other kind of flames are there?
Well, there's flames of fire.
Anyway.
Alright, so, and I looked and saw therein a lofty throne. Its appearance was as a crystal, and the wheels thereof as the shining sun. And there was a vision of cherubim.
Cherubim, all right, let me explain what cherubim are. Cherubim are angels with swords, flaming swords, that won't let you pass through. They block you. You can't get past them. And that's when they threw the cherubim stopped Adam and Eve from getting back in the Garden of Eden.
They're like the knights in Alice in Wonderland. The cards play the knights. They stop you.
That sounds good to me.
I've heard of cherubim before.
How come I get the fucking shit when it's all gone? All right, what else? Talk to me.
Well, I'm reading right now. It's
You do know I know everything.
his raiment shone more. So whoever's sitting on the throne has something called a raiment. A raiment shone brightly as the sun and was whiter than any snow. I don't know what a raiment is.
Listen, they all 200 of them that fell down to mate with the women, make them their wives, teach them charms, teach men how to make weapons. All right, they're all done right here. This is it.
Okay, wait a minute. Here's something. So the Lord, or whoever Enoch is talking to, told him.
He's talking to
He said,
Enlil, the Yahweh
go
guys.
say to the watchers of heaven who have sent thee to intercede for them, you should intercede for men and not for men for you. So
Well, that's
the
it.
watchers said, hey man, will you go over here and talk
Yeah,
to this
they
dude
trusted
for me?
it. Yeah. Will you do this? And then the Yahweh God is like, you know what? They all trust him to plead their case. There's something about Enoch, you know. All right, you know what? We like Enoch.
Does his bloodline still exist?
Yeah. So does Noah, and they're called the Illuminati. Yeah, things got switched around. You got to remember, Noah, the Anunnaki signed a pact where they all agreed that when the deluge hit, we cannot alert mankind. Number one, the giants were just out of control. They were destroying shit, eating everybody. And Noah had the only pure bloodline, okay, from the Anunnaki, okay? So not only did he have a pure bloodline, he was Lucifer's boy, or Inky's boy. You know, it's like Inky's like, I'm gonna figure out how to make this work, because Inky had to sign that agreement too, where he cannot alert mankind. Now, have you ever read the Epic of Gilgamesh?
Oh, here's something interesting. And the women also of the angels, who I think Enoch's talking to Uriel, and the women also of the angels who went astray shall become siren.
Uriel
Greek
was,
mythology, we see the sirens.
well, that's the women in the ocean, the mermaids. That's a siren. Siren is a mermaid. And I'm not saying they weren't shit back then, because when Inky was
Well,
trying...
apparently they were cursed. Sirens is not considered a good thing, because he's saying, hey, these women that were with these guys, no, they...
You know what? That actually makes sense, because these women, they violated something too, and they turn into sirens. That means they're mermaids now, because that's what a siren is.
What's so bad about being a merman?
I don't know. I'd like to try.
Be a merman?
I'd be a merman. Inky is a merman. Inky, once he lost title of Lucifer, once he lost the title of Inky, which Inky means Lord of Earth, he lost it to his son Marduk, which is the biblical Satan. Inky was EA. That means from water.
EA?
EA, from water. He's Poseidon, you know, in the Greek mythology, or even
Aquaman.
he's Aquaman. Yes.
Seaman.
Huh?
Seaman.
Yeah, EA Lucifer would be Aquaman. Yeah, that would be him.
Lucifer Seaman.
And with his trident, you know.
You never seen that South Park Seaman?
No, I don't watch South Park. It's fucking stupid.
Oh, their new one when they just came out this season, the pandemic special. God almighty, that's one of the funniest ones I have ever seen in my
Can
life.
we pull it up? Because I've yet to laugh
I mean,
on South Park.
Randy jacking off in the weed and then everybody smoking it. That you can't get better than that.
Because everybody mustaches.
Is this?
Yeah.
And you guys think that's funny?
No, it's really stupid. That's why it's funny.
Yeah, I couldn't get in South Park. There's a lot of shit about Family Guy I like. I mean, there's some funny shit in Family Guy, and there's a lot of mirror truth in Family Guy, just like The Simpsons. Right. They hide truth in plain sight.
Just a whole lot of crap in the middle of it.
Well, you know what? I know everything, so fucking throw something at me. Listen, I want your show to be a success. I do. And you know what? If this is the way for me to get the truth out there, dude, I don't want to profit of it. I just want you, I want your shit to work.
No, we got profit.
No, I can't. I'm not allowed to profit off anything.
You could be the next Ellen DeGeneres.
I remember, man, I wouldn't be her. She's evil.
Yeah.
I'm not evil, okay?
$20 million you could be.
I'm not going to get in the $20 million club. That means I have to... Okay, what if you're the one? They say, Bruce, I'll give you $20 million if you cough up Lee.
Tell you what, you split the money with me, I'll do it for you. And no offense, I mean, I would expect you to do
I'm
the same.
sure none taken.
So you got to sacrifice somebody.
Well, let's just say I asked for somebody and they asked for you for $20 million. You know what I'd say? Shove that $20 million up your ass. You think I'd take $20 fucking million for your debt?
We got to stage my death, get $20 million,
No, they would
and
know.
then trick the devil.
Can't trick him.
Yeah, you try. Goddamn.